እንኳን ወደ አዲስ ከተማ ቻናል በሰላም መጣችሁ። ዩኒት 2 are record on table. Section 2.1 Add, modify and delete record. A. Ways to add, edit and delete records. There are several ways to update data in any Access database. You add a record to your database when you have a new item to track, such as a new contact to the contacts table. When you add a new record, Access appends the record to the end of the table. You also change fields to stay up to update, such as a new address or last name. To maintain data integrity, the field in an Access database are set to accept a specific type of data, such as text or numbers. If you don't enter the correct data type, Access display an error message. Finally, you can delete a record when it is no longer relevant, and to save space, you use a form to manually update data. Data entry form can provide an easy, faster, and more accurate way to enter data. Forms can contain any number of controls, such as lists, text box, and button. In turn, each of the control on the form either read data from or write data to any underlying table field. Data sheets are grids of data that look like Excel worksheet. You can change data by working directly in data sheet view. If you are familiar with Excel, data sheet should be relatively easy to understand. You can change data in table, query, result set, and forms that display data sheet. Typically, you use data sheet when you need to see any record at once. B. Understanding data enter symbol. The following table shows some of the record selector symbols you may see when updating data and what they mean. Symbol meaning: this is the current record. The record has been saved as it appears. The current record is indicated by a change in color in the record selector. You are edits this record change to the record aren't yet saved. This record is locked by another user. You can't edit it. This is a new record in which you can enter information. This is the primary key field and contain a value that uniquely identifies the record. C. Lookup data entry list in MS Access. Prefers the best way to make sure that data is entered correctly is to create a data enter down list. The way anyone entering the data in your database table can do so by choosing any item from the list, not by typing it in. This method saves time and prevents invalid data from being entered. Access forms two ways to create the drop-down list. Create the list by entering the item yourself. Go this route when you are dealing with a finite list of items that never change. Get the items from another database table. Go the route to get item from a column in another database table. These ways you can choose from an ever expanding list of items. When the number of items in the other database table changes, so does the number of items in the drop down list, because the item came from the other database table. This is a great way to enter item from a primary key field in another table. A companion is the field you are working on has a cryptic or hard to understand name. Enter a more descriptive name in the caption text box. In the caption properly appears as the column heading in database sheet view as a label on form and on report in place of the field name. People entering data understand what to enter after reading the description caption. F. Difficult value. When you know the major of record require a certain value, number, or revision entered in the default value text box. The way you save yourself the trouble of entering the value, number, or abbreviation most of the time, because the default value appears already in each record when you enter it. You can always override the difficult value by entering something different. G. The validation rule. As long as you know your way around operator and Boolean expression, you can establish a rule from entering data in a field. For example, you can enter an expression that requires dates to be entered in a certain time frame, or you can require currency figures to be above or below a certain value. To establishing a validation rule, enter an expression in the validation rule textbook. To use dates in an expression, the dates must be enclosed by number sign. To get help forming expression, click the three dots beside the validation rule text box to open the expression builder and build an expression there. Try clicking the help button in the expression builder box. Doing so opens the Access Hubs program, where you can get advice about building expressions. H. Validation text. If someone entered data that volatile, a validation rule that you enter in the validation rule text box access displays a standard error message. The message reads one or more value are prohibited by the validation rule, save for this field. Enter a value that the expression for this field can accept. If this message is too cold and impersonal for you, you can create a message of your own from the error message dialog box. Enter your friendly message in the validation text box. If required, by default, no entry has to be made in a field, but if you choose yes instead of no in the required box and you fail to make an entry in the field, a message box tells you to be sure to make an entry.